are you currently publishing audiobooks? If so, are you doing it yourself or are you hiring out? Well, today I'm going to actually have the pleasure of speaking with Findaway Voices expert Wes Ingram, where he's going to kind of cover some audiobook narrator tips and strategies you need to know, something that's going to differentiate between amateur hour or professional production. Stay tuned. This is Self-Publishing with Dale, where you learn to publish books that sell and build an unstoppable author brand. And if you want to learn more about writing, publishing, and building your author platform, make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell notification on so you don't miss a single video. Not too long ago, I shared my candid thoughts about the audiobook distribution platform Findaway Voices. I also had the pleasure of interviewing head of Findaway Voices, Will Dagus. Well, in my visit up to Cleveland, Ohio, I got to talk to a few other team members, and one of them was Wes Ingram. He happens to be the go-to guy when it comes to understanding good, high-quality audiobook production. So we got to have a little bit of a chat, and he shared just a little bit of 411 when it comes to doing your own books or even being a narrator. So you're going to get some audiobook narrator tips and strategies that you're going to want to implement today, whether you're doing it yourself or you're hiring out. Let's go ahead and take it away.
All right, my name is Wes. Here at Findaway Voices, I give narrators who record audiobook advice on how to create a more professional audiobook. If they have any trouble meeting our specifications as far as passing the many different partners that we have, I give them advice on that, as well as authors who have a audiobook that has been recorded. They bring it to our platform, and sometimes they need help meeting those audio specifications as well. So I'm just a human resource support personnel to help people pass those specs, as well as get my hands dirty and engineer books as well.
Yeah, you and I were just kind of discussing a little bit about what really differentiates between the amateur processing and the more professional processing of an audiobook. What's going to be something that can make me stand apart from the rest and not sound so DIY, if you will?
Got you. So there's a balancing act that you might have to entertain going into starting to record an audiobook. There are three different parts. There's the actual performer and their capabilities, their talent to actually perform the audiobook. There's the equipment that they use to capture that recording, and then there's an engineer level that has to take that recording and make it sound good. So long story short, you need two of those three. If you have a good talent with good equipment, the engineer can sit back and just relax because 9 times out of 10 it will sound good. Yeah. If you are not as good as a performer, you'll need great equipment and an engineer that can tie those things together and make them sound great. And if you are a great performer, but you don't have the best equipment, but you have a good engineer, you're also in a good place as well. So someone that's just getting started with recording, they would have to entertain that balancing act and find out where they could land to create a good finished product.
Where can I find a good engineer?
As far as it would depend. If you need in-studio help, you would have to look locally to find that. Okay. If you are able to have a setup, a home setup where you have the proper equipment, you know the 3 or 4 buttons you would need to push to actually record the audio, you could always package that up and send it to a post-production engineer anywhere, as far as, nationally or wherever, across the world, wherever. So as long as you have a home setup and a good home studio, you're able to send that out anywhere.
Can I record audiobooks in a very echoey room like this?
You can record audiobooks in an echoey room.
Should I though?
You should not. This would be considered a field recording if you were to record it in an environment that wasn't suitable. And sometimes it can be intentional. Most of the time, it's not intentional. Yeah. If you do have it in your means, you need to get into a small, confined area and record an audiobook there, as well as if you're recording an audiobook for up to 9 to 10 hours, you want to make sure that level is consistent and you record in the same environment. You don't want to record chapters 1 through 8 in one environment and then the rest of the audiobook in a different environment because it's very obvious to the listener. So can you record in an environment that's not suitable? You can, but you're really doing yourself a disservice to do so.
Yeah. Can you go to my next door neighbor and tell him to stop playing techno music when I'm trying to record things?
Yes, you can try. What happened is they will tell you yes, and then again around chapter 8 you'll hear techno music. So in those cases you need to focus on recording at nighttime. Yeah. Is what most people do. Any type of distance to street traffic or distance to it can be anything. It could be the cell phone vibrating in your pocket. You just have to do everything in your power to control your recording environment. Yeah. And you cannot rely on other people to keep it quiet because what can go wrong will go wrong if you do that. Yeah.
Can we take my bad recording and actually make it sound good?
It depends. So good is open to a lot of different interpretations, but you will limit that post-production engineer quite a bit if you have a bad recording. So if you record in a bad environment or with bad equipment and you send that over to your engineer and you say, hey man, make it sound good, that engineer is in a tough spot. They can only do so much. The more that they do to the actual audio, the fear is that the audio might become over-processed, which is something that nobody wants. So you always want to look at things from the end listener's perspective. The moment they click on that audiobook, they decide within the first 10 seconds if they can deal with 9 hours of this or not. And with that being said, they don't want to hear over-processed audio that sound bad, that somebody fine-tuned and polished up and it still eventually sounds the same. So you can make it sound somewhat good. A noise floor is the most popular indication of something that's amateur or something that's not. So if your noise floor is very fuzzy, if you can hear the actual environment in the recording, it's a sign of being an amateur recording. Some people will not want to listen to such. So that is something that can be addressed in post-production, but if you have things such as traffic, such as stomach noises, as crazy as that sounds, stomach noise is something people don't pay attention to as much. If the performer leans away from the microphone and comes back a lot. So there are many different things that can be fixed, and the things that can't be fixed you need to be aware of while recording to know that you need to stop and re-record that part. So with that being said, the most important part of the production process is the pre-production. If you know what to record and you know the capabilities of your engineer to fix something or something that they can't fix, you will know to re-record that at that stage.
Awesome, Wes. Hey, I appreciate it, dude.
No problem, Dale. Thank
excellent.
you.
And just next time that one of my books come through your way, check it out.
Just check it off. You don't want me to touch it? Don't touch it. Don't make it sound good.
Yeah, you look at it and be like, well, he told me.
He told you just like that, right?